Oh, you're welcome, Yvonne. Yvonne says, thanks. Thanks for so much great information. So appreciate you. I appreciate you too, Yvonne. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see. Anne wants to know, is glutamine likely to have a negative effect on low blood pressure, something like POTS? No, not typically, not typically. Now, one of the things, Anne, that you might consider, and we talked about this last week, vitamin B1, but we didn't really dive into POTS. Which is an orthostatic hypotension issue, is vitamin B1. There's a lot of really great research on vitamin B1 being very, very helpful for people with POTS. So you might just look into vitamin B1 as something, if you have had that diagnosis, is something you can take to support it. Let's see here. Dave says, the Wi-Fi needs glutamine. I love it. That's a good one. Thanks, Dave, for making me laugh. How much L-glutamine is in one egg? It's about 1.5 grams. You could get about 3. It's about 3 grams of glutamine in a couple of eggs. So, but depending on the size of the egg, depending on your chickens or the grocery store chickens. Can glutamine help? June wants to know, can glutamine help tight tendons and muscles? If they're tight, possibly, but I would say if they're tight, then you're probably looking more at other things. Tight muscles generally are associated with either disuse atrophy, so like you're not using them, you're not moving them, or if you are and you just keep staying tight, that oftentimes is electrolyte imbalance or excessive cortisol production. Like those are other things that I would be looking at. So excessive stress, magnesium, potassium, calcium deficits will cause chronically tight muscles. But not so much L-glutamine. Not in my experience. I haven't seen that be the main cause. Let's see. Anne wants to know, is nitric oxide precursor L-glutamine as effective as arginine? Well, they all work together. Arginine can be very effective. The problem with taking too much arginine is it can cause lysine deficiency. So if you take too much arginine and you create a lysine deficiency, if you're prone to herpetic outbreaks like fever blisters or herpes simplex blisters, you can actually flare those types of things up by taking too much arginine consistently over time. Let's see. Question, can I get relief taking glutamine a few times a week instead of daily because I have muscle breakdown due to prednisone? My opinion, if somebody's taking prednisone, I would have them on L-glutamine as a precaution. As long as we measured it and they were deficient, I would have them on L-glutamine on a daily basis, not on an every other day or every third day. Let's see. Deep Thea, I have low stomach acid. Does it affect digestion and absorption? Yes, it does. Remember, amino acid, glutamine is found in protein. So how do you digest protein? Through stomach acid and through protease and through other enzymes that are produced in the stomach. So if your stomach is damaged or inflamed, or if you've been diagnosed with chronic gastritis, or if you've got a history of H. pylori, like any of those things can create and contribute to a deficiency of L-glutamine through improper absorption. Okay, let's see here. I don't know if I understand your question, Laura. Would I like to include mitochondria in pathways? Maybe you can kind of retype that and give me a little bit more specificity on what you mean. Wanda says, just purchase glutamine. Hope I feel a difference soon. I'm 8 weeks post chemo with surgery from ovarian cancer. Boy, I hope you do too, Wanda, and let us know how that turns out for you. Doing well, but I do have muscle fatigue. Yeah, definitely let us know how that turns out for you. You wants to know, can I explain in more depth leaky lungs? Well, look, your lungs produce a fluid that is just like your gut. Your gut produces a mucosal fluid, a mucosal lining that helps as a physical barrier. And inside that mucosal lining, you have all these antibodies that are also produced that help to bind onto pathogens and foreign debris. Well, your lung does the same thing. And so when that's breached, when you have something that's breaching that barrier, breaking through that mucus, and just stripping away your capacity to generate antibodies, you can develop leaky lung. What does leaky lung look like? It looks like airway inflammation. So conditions like asthma, for example, conditions like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, emphysema, these are all kind of inflammatory airway diseases that are brought on as a result of a leaky lung issue. Um, let's see here. Most doctors wouldn't have a clue when it comes to L-glutamine supplementation. Unfortunately, Mike, you're probably right. Most doctors won't have a clue, but again, it doesn't mean you can't ask. I always say, you never know until you ask. Okay, Laura wants to know, where does diverticulitis and diverticulosis, fit regarding leaky gut? Well, so these conditions, diverticulitis and osis, so the itis is when you have a weakening in the intestinal wall and it pushes out, right? And that weakening of the intestinal wall can be caused by a lot of different things, but for most people, it's caused by chronic inflammation. And it erodes that lining. And so something like an L-glutamine would create, or would not necessarily create, but would contribute to an inflammation and a diverticuli or diverticulosis type of scenario. Remember, those are, although I didn't mention them earlier, they are forms of inflammatory bowel disease. Take with or without food? Are there different options? So here, that's a great question, Karen. Do you take glutamine with food? The best way to take L-glutamine is away from other proteins. So you can take it with food. So let's say you're going to eat a piece of fruit. You can take L-glutamine with that piece of fruit because there's not really a lot of amino acids in that fruit that are going to compete with that L-glutamine. But let's say you're eating a steak or you're eating an egg or you're eating a piece of meat. You want to take the L-glutamine away from other sources of protein so that you can optimize the ability for your GI tract to uptake just the L-glutamine. So it's actually best taken on an empty stomach or taken away from other meals that have heavy quantities of protein in them. It's not typically something that if you take on an empty stomach causes nausea unless your dose is super high. It only typically causes nausea when that dose gets really, really high. Crystal wants to know, in what kinds of cases is L-glutamine supplementation not recommended? It's only not recommended if you have one of the side effects that I was talking about earlier, the anxiety, the headache. Those are contraindications or poor methylation. And so it's always best when you start on a new supplement and you don't know, don't start here. Start here, low, and work your way up and pay attention. Pay attention to how your body talks to you. But there's no really great contraindication. Like there's not a condition or disease state or a problem that L-glutamine is potentially going to make worse. Again, I mentioned certain types of cancers earlier, and that would be something that you, again, want to talk to your oncologist about. Yeah, so that's what I was just saying, Len, and I think I mentioned that earlier. Always a good idea to know what, the kind of cancer that you have and whether or not it's a glutamine feeding type of tumor. Laura said, did I hear that taking vitamin C helps increase glutamine? No, you didn't hear that from me, but vitamin C itself works with glutamine. They actually work hand in hand, especially as it relates to forming collagen and helping aid in muscle repair and aiding in inflammatory repair in the GI tract. So they do work hand in hand. Is bone broth a good source of glutamine? It is, and I maybe failed to mention that earlier, write it down on the board, but I think I had a slide that with bone broth on it. So yes, to answer the question is yes, bone broth is a really good, the thick bone broth, not the watered down stuff that's not really got the amino acid trickle into it, but the really thick stuff. Let's see here. How long do you recommend taking it, and what would be a therapeutic dosage in the case of IBS, irritable bowel syndrome or inflammatory bowel syndrome? It depends. Everybody's a little bit unique and different. Again, I'm not giving medical advice on this show, but again, if you're going to start with L-glutamine, I always recommend you start with something low, and work your way up to doses as tolerated. Chris wants to know, what would be a cause of keratosis pilaris? A lot of things, mostly in something that's creating internal inflammation, but protein deficiency can cause it, vitamin C deficiency, zinc deficiency, vitamin A deficiency. So a lot of things can actually create that type of problem. Can L-glutamine supplements help with teeth eruption? It's a good question, Marie, and I honestly, you stumped me. I don't know. I haven't read any research or literature on L-glutamine helping with the teeth in that way. We do know that L-glutamine is very important for the collagen synthesis and for peptide generation around the gum line. So, it's possible, but I haven't read anything directly that I could quote or say, yes, absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Let's see here. Linda says, would occasional yellowing of the skin and eyes and high total bilirubin be an issue with L-glutamine? I did have yellow jaundice when I was small and was told later that it was probably a hepatitis. So would L-glutamine cause jaundice? No. I've not seen a case of jaundice induced by L-glutamine supplementation. Linda, jaundice, I mean, typically there's a liver issue, right? It's there's either a problem in your liver or you have something called a hemolytic anemia. Those are really the two main primary sources of yellow discoloration of the skin and eyes. So the difference really being is that you break down, there's a tissue that is, when your red blood cells break and regenerate or basically recycle, they break open and they release a substance called bilirubin. That bilirubin is then subsequently recycled by your liver. It's converted from bilirubin to biliverdin. But if your liver's broken, you can't properly convert bilirubin, and so your bilirubin levels go up in your bloodstream, and it's a yellow pigmentation, so your skin turns yellow. So if your red blood cells are breaking too quickly, that can also happen. So it can happen if your liver's not working, but it can also happen if you have what's called a hemolytic anemia, where your red blood cells, where their membranes are just too weak and they're breaking aggressively fast. And there are a number of different things that can cause that. Now, there's some new research coming out that shows that L-glutamine is important for the membrane stability around cells. I haven't seen anything in particular about L-glutamine deficiency causing hemolytic anemia, but it's an interesting observation. Let's see here. I take daily prednisone and experiencing muscle breakdown. How much and what kind of L-glutamine? Look, my favorite brand of L-glutamine, if you want my opinion, is the formulation that I have, because I know where it comes from and I know how it's produced. And that we can put a link up to that if you'd like. But dosing is a highly variable thing. Probably something you should talk with your doctor about. But again, if you started here, there's nothing wrong with starting there again, and then kind of supplementing your way up based on your tolerance. But as far as an exact dose, it's really hard to say, because it's different. Different people weigh different amounts and have different needs. And there's the other question: are you even glutamine deficient? Let's see. I think I answered that one already. Evie says, when discussing diverticulitis, you seem to say that glutamine would not be beneficial. No, you misunderstood that, Evie. I said that L-glutamine is necessary to help preserve the integrity of the lining and of the health of the intestines and colon. And so it would actually play a potential role. So if I said that, it came out wrong, or if you misheard it, that's a possibility too. Let's see here. Anna, will L-glutamine help as part of a protocol with strengthening the vessels of the eyes and assist in helping to heal uveitis? Anna, honestly, if you've got uveitis, don't just go buy L-glutamine supplementation. First, I'd say if you're going to spend money on something, best money is spent on the book No Grain, No Pain. Go buy it, read it, live it. That book was written based on my 20 years of experience. And there's not, in my opinion, there's not a better kind of template, a generalized template for somebody to follow who's struggling with a painful autoimmune condition like uveitis. L-glutamine, Fatma wants to know, is it good for fibromyalgia? It can be. It can be indicated in people that struggle with fibromyalgia. Remember, though, fibromyalgia is truly a sensory processing disorder. So although glutamine is a precursor to glutamate and other neurotransmitters, and it can play a role in that regard. If the fibromyalgia is not truly in the muscle, but it's truly neurological, then no. But if the fibromyalgia was misdiagnosed and you really just have generalized muscle pain that some doctor somewhere called fibromyalgia, then yeah, it could very well be something that's helpful. Are there issues with long-term use of glutamine? No. I mean, the safety data on glutamine is pretty strong. There's no major side effects beyond the ones that I listed. So again, it becomes an issue of paying close attention. And again, it's the most abundant amino acid in the human body. So it's kind of like water. Can you overdose on water? Sure you can. We call that drowning. But it's very unlikely, unless you're doing, this down here, the super mega dosing, that you're gonna create a long-term detriment. So Deepthi wants to know, does low stomach acid make it harder to digest L-glutamine supplements as well? No, because remember, L-glutamine, true free-form L-glutamine in a supplement is in its smallest form already. It doesn't have to be broken down. It's already broken down. So once it goes past the stomach, it gets into the small intestine where it can be absorbed through transporters, but also through passive diffusion. Does L-glutamine help at all for Epstein-Barr virus or Hashimoto's? Well, from an Epstein-Barr perspective, remember your body needs, well, I erased it already, lymphocytes, right? We didn't really talk a lot about lymphocytes, but lymphocytes, you've got B cells that are lymphocytes, you've got T cells that are lymphocytes. And so these are specialized white blood cells that help fight viruses, right? Your lymphocytes are kind of the cells in your body that help fight viruses. So from that perspective, if your glutamine is low, does it make your immune system less apt at fighting off something like a virus? Absolutely, it does. So, there, it could be an important piece of the puzzle for you. Can we have a future Q&A session on questions regarding your book, No Grain, No Pain? I'd love to. I'd love to do that, Virginia. Sure. Linda, you are reinforcing how much stress contributes to health issues. Thank you. You're welcome. If I could just stop stressing. That's the whole thing, isn't it? And remember, it's not stress that creates disease. It's chronic, repetitive stress that you don't acknowledge and deal with. There's very, very different things because our bodies are stress adaptation machines. It's when we don't deal or cope with something that we're stressing out about that stress bioaccumulates internally, and then we internalize it, and then it creates all kinds of biochemical havoc. Could diverticulitis be reversed with a proper diet? Yeah, it could be, Chris. It can be reversed. Whether or not L-glutamine will play a role in that is largely dependent upon the person. Again, in my opinion, you test. If you're trying to find out how to figure out what's creating an internal problem, then you test. You don't guess. You test. So Inken says, I don't seem to be able to tolerate more than 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams a day. It's because you're hitting your limit, most likely. I don't know that it's necessarily a good idea to try to increase it to more. Everybody's a little different in that regard. So that, it's not something you need to force. If you think, if somebody's telling you take more and you're feeling bad taking more, listen to your body. Don't listen to that other person. Like, your body is right. Can I take L-glutamine if I'm having vitamin B12 injections? Sure you can. Would you comment on whether L-glutamine helps Hashimoto's? So it's one of those indirect things, Marilyn. Does L-glutamine help Hashimoto's? Depends on what's causing the Hashimoto's. Remember what Hashimoto's is. Hashimoto's is an autoimmune thyroid disease. And if we look at autoimmune disease as a core kind of what causes it, what creates it, there's 4 fundamental categories of things that need to be investigated for anyone with autoimmune disease. And if your doctor hasn't investigated these, you need to have the conversation with them. So number 1 is nutritional deficiency. So in that regard, does L-glutamine help Hashimoto's? It can if you're deficient in L-glutamine. I mean, there's a correlation between nutritional deficiency as a contributing factor to the development of autoimmune disease. So ruling out nutritional deficiency, including glutamine, is an important part of that process. The other 3 triggers, though, are food, chemical exposures. And remember, what does glutamine help do with your liver? It helps your liver process those chemicals. So if you're overexposed or overextended in your chemical exposure department, and you're low in L-glutamine, and how is your body going to process those chemicals? It's going to have a hard time doing that. Could then those chemicals contribute to a Hashimoto's? Absolutely they could. And that's what I meant by indirect. It's more of an indirect association than it is a direct causal relationship. But again, indirect is just as important many times. Let's see. Lou wants to know, with any, you will it help me with my lack of energy and strength? I'm not sure I understand the question, Lou. It's you worded it kind of strange for me, so maybe retype that and I can give you a better answer. If you're asking me whether L-glutamine helps with lack of energy and strength, the simple answer is it can if you are low in L-glutamine. Okay. Can you use L-glutamine as a staple to keep leaky gut away? It's one of those, do you want to? I'm not a big fan in just taking it just to take it. If your diet is dialed in and your protein levels are high enough, you should be getting adequate, glutamine from your diet consistently over time, that you shouldn't need to supplement L-glutamine indefinitely as this magical leaky gut prevention formula, because it's, I don't recommend doing that. I think most of what you need to accomplish is through your choices of what you eat, how you behave, right? So your sleep, your sunshine, your diet, your chemical exposure, your air, your water quality, all those things matter. All those things are important. more than taking a supplement for the rest of your life to try to be preventative. I think it's more important to have behaviors that are preventative. Laura says, would love to get a German language, no grain, no pain, to send to my sister-in-law. She has rheumatoid arthritis. It is published in German. So tell your sister-in-law to look it up. I can't remember the pronunciation exactly, but I think it's Metre Gedre or something like that. But I don't speak German, so I probably mangled it. But we do have a German version. The German version actually is really cool because the German publisher took all the 31 recipes that we created for the book and actually cooked them and then took these beautiful, stunning pictures of all the recipes. So it really looks a lot like a blueprint to overcome autoimmune disease with a built-in cookbook. So yeah, the German version is really nice. Which vegetables are high in glutamine? Ophelia wants to know. So the cruciferous vegetables, asparagus, those are probably your best bets. Scott says, or JJ says, I've been taking quality L-Glutamine powder on and off for the past year to help heal a leaky gut, along with daily bone broth and very clean, organic, biodynamic, plant-based diet, plus wild fish and biodynamic chicken and liver. For the first 4 months, I steadily increased L-Glutamine up to 5 grams a day, then did a 2-week period of 10 grams a day, and then went back down to 5 grams a day. I had no side effects. For the past 9 months, I've been taking L-Glutamine 3 to 4 times a week at 5 grams each. My leaky gut has really healed. Oh, so is this a testimonial story? It sounds like. My leaky gut has really healed a lot, but I still think I'm only at 85 to 90%. Okay, I see what you're saying. What else can you do? If you're working with a doc, get them to measure you for food and chemical reactivity, because even if your diet is really, really clean, you could be allergic to that biodynamic meat. You could be allergic to those biodynamic vegetables. So have somebody measure your reactivity to food, because that may be something that's holding you back. Also have somebody measure your other vitamins and minerals, your nutritional status, because that oftentimes is something that holds people back too. B12 deficiency, folate deficiency, B6 deficiency, magnesium and zinc deficiency are all critical for helping the GI tract heal. And you might even be supplementing with those nutrients, but if the doses aren't high enough, they might not be effective at helping you reach your goal. Okay. Can you take glutamine if you're allergic to milk protein? Yes, you can. All right. Well, we've gone over tonight, so the questions just didn't quit rolling in. So again, if you haven't already, a couple things. Number one, hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button next to the video, and then hit the bell next to that. That bell means you'll get notifications from us every time we go live or anytime we publish a video update for you. We try to put at least 5 new videos up for you a week. I want you to stay abreast as best as possible. Go visit me at glutenfreesociety.org. If you give me your name and email, we'll send you a free gluten-free survival guide and starter kit. And it's very, very valuable information that'll help you navigate better the gluten-free diet. And if you haven't already, remember, no grain, no pain. That is kind of your baseline of information. If you go read the book, No Grain, No Pain, and you come to the Monday night show, you're going to be taking so much more away from the show, because you'll have that background of information and knowledge that'll give you a head start and allow you to let this information sink in so much better. So hope you have a fantastic week. Wishing you excellent health. We'll see you next Monday night. Hey, if you've got a functional medicine or health question that you'd like me to answer for you, make sure you send me an email, glutenology@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to create a video answer just for you. Have a great day.